At 88, Jack Nicholson finally tells the truth about Robin Williams. Jack Nicholson was born John Joseph Nicholson on April 22, 1937, in Neptune City, New Jersey. From the very beginning, his life was shaped by unusual circumstances, as he grew up believing that his grandmother was his mother and that his real mother was his sister. A revelation that came to light much later in his adulthood. This early twist in his personal story has often been described as something straight out of a Hollywood script, foreshadowing the complexity and depth that Nicholson would later bring to his roles on screen. Raised in a working-class environment, Nicholson developed a fascination with performance and storytelling from an early age, which eventually led him to pursue acting as a career. His entry into Hollywood was not glamorous or easy. He began working as a gopher at MGM's cartoon studio before slowly making his way into acting roles. Often struggling for years before finding his breakthrough, Nicholson's career began in the late 1950s when he took on small roles in B-movies, often produced by Roger Corman. Although these early roles did not bring him immediate fame, they gave him the chance to learn the craft, develop his style, and establish his resilience in an industry that often demands persistence more than instant success. His breakthrough came in 1969 with Easy Rider, where his performance as the boozy lawyer George Hansen earned him his first Oscar nomination. That role propelled him into the mainstream and marked the start of a string of remarkable performances that would define the next 4 decades of cinema. Throughout the 1970s, Nicholson cemented his reputation as a powerhouse actor. His role in 5 Easy Pieces 1970 showed his extraordinary ability to portray disaffected, complex characters struggling with identity and alienation. In The Last Detail 1973, he gave a raw, emotional performance that was both humorous and deeply moving. His turn as Randall McMurphy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest 1975 remains one of the greatest performances in film history. Winning him his first Academy Award for Best Actor, Nicholson's portrayal of McMurphy, a rebellious figure standing up against the oppressive Nurse Ratched, captured the spirit of the 1970s counterculture and solidified his status as a cultural icon. The 1980s brought another defining role with Stanley Kubrick's chilling horror masterpiece, The Shining, Balin. Nicholson's terrifying yet captivating portrayal of Jack Torrance, a writer descending into madness, became an indelible part of pop culture. Lines like, "Here's Johnny," have echoed across generations, proof of how Nicholson could bring unforgettable energy to the screen. In terms of endearment, 1983, he showed his softer side, earning another Academy Award for playing Garrett Breedlove, a charming retired astronaut. This duality, being able to embody both madness and tenderness with equal conviction, set him apart as one of the most versatile actors of his time. The 1989 release of Batman, where Nicholson played the Joker, marked another milestone. His larger-than-life, sinister, yet playful performance not only captivated audiences worldwide, but also set a standard for comic book villains on screen. Nicholson's Joker was so impactful that it influenced generations of actors who later tackled the role. His ability to inject charisma, menace, and humor into one character showed once again the remarkable range of his artistry. In the 1990s and early 2000s, Nicholson continued to deliver unforgettable performances. In A Few Good Men 1992, his portrayal of Colonel Nathan R. Jessup gave cinema one of its most iconic lines, "You can't handle the truth." The intensity and authority he brought to the role demonstrated his unmatched ability to dominate the screen. After showcasing his versatility in films such as Mars Attacks 1996, the satirical sci-fi comedy where Nicholson managed to both terrify and amuse audiences, and Hoffa 1992, where he immersed himself in the role of the notorious labor leader Jimmy Hoffa, as well as Man Trouble, another project that highlighted his ability to bring complex, layered characters to life. Jack Nicholson entered what many critics call the golden stretch of his later career. In 1997, he stunned the world once again with his unforgettable performance in James L. Brooks's romantic dramedy, As Good as It Gets. Starring opposite Helen Hunt, Nicholson played Melvin Udell, a misanthropic, obsessive, compulsive novelist whose biting wit and stubborn eccentricities gradually give way to moments of tenderness. His nuanced performance, balancing humor with vulnerability, not only captivated audiences but also won him an Academy Award for Best Actor, proving that even decades into his career, Nicholson was still capable of reinventing himself and surprising the world as the new millennium began. Nicholson continued to demonstrate his incredible range and staying power. In 2002, he took on the role of Warren Schmidt in About Schmidt, a tragic comedy that saw him shed his trademark charm to portray a lonely, recently retired widower navigating the emptiness of his later years. Critics hailed the performance as one of the most understated and powerful of his career, showing that Nicholson could excel not only in flamboyant, larger-than-life roles, but also in quiet, deeply human stories. Just a year later, in 2003, he reminded fans of his comedic genius when he teamed up with Adam Sandler in the box office hit Anger Management. Nicholson's portrayal of the unorthodox, wild-eyed therapist, Dr. Buddy Riddle, brought an unpredictable energy to the film and left audiences laughing while reinforcing his reputation as an actor who could dominate any genre. But Nicholson wasn't finished yet. In 2006, he returned to the darker side of his repertoire, taking on the chilling role of Frank Costello, a ruthless Irish mob boss in Martin Scorsese's crime epic, The Departed. Acting alongside Hollywood heavyweights Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio, Nicholson stole scenes with his sinister unpredictability, creating one of the most memorable villains of modern cinema. His performance was so powerful and haunting that it earned him a Golden Globe nomination, reminding the industry once again why he stood among the greatest actors of all time. The very next year, Nicholson surprised audiences again, this time in a more heartwarming and reflective light. In 2007, he co-starred with Morgan Freeman in The Bucket List, a moving dramedy about two terminally ill men who set out on a globe-trotting adventure to fulfill their life's dreams before kicking the bucket. Nicholson's role as the wealthy but emotionally guarded Edward Cole allowed him to explore themes of mortality, friendship, and redemption, striking a balance between wit and poignancy. The film became a cultural touchstone, inspiring millions with its message about living life to the fullest and further cemented Nicholson's legacy as an actor who could touch audiences across generations. Jack Nicholson's personal life has long fascinated the public, almost as much as his legendary acting career. His first and only marriage was to actress Sandra Knight in 1962. At the time, Nicholson was a rising star in Hollywood, still building his career. While Knight was known for her appearances in films such as Frankenstein's Daughter, 1958, their marriage, though marked by youthful energy and Hollywood glamour, was not destined to last forever. After 6 years together, the couple decided to part ways. Officially divorcing in 1968, despite the end of their marriage, they shared a daughter, Jennifer Nicholson. Born in 1963, Jennifer grew up largely away from the limelight, but she eventually followed her own creative path, becoming a fashion designer. Nicholson always remained a supportive father, and even though his marriage to Sandra Knight ended, their bond through their daughter remained an important part of his life. Following his divorce, Jack Nicholson never married again, but he became known for a series of high-profile and often tumultuous relationships that kept him firmly in the spotlight. One of his early and well-documented romances was with actress Susan Anspach, whom he met in the early 1970s. Their relationship was complex and passionate, reflecting Nicholson's free-spirited and unconventional lifestyle during that era. Although their romance eventually came to an end, Anspach later claimed that Nicholson was the father of her son, Caleb Goddard. Born in 1970, Nicholson did not publicly acknowledge Caleb as his child, which led to years of speculation and tension, further fueling the mystique around his personal life. Perhaps Nicholson's most famous and enduring relationship was with actress Angelica Houston, daughter of legendary director John Huston. Their romance began in 1973 and lasted on and off for nearly 17 years. During this time, they became one of Hollywood's most talked-about couples, admired for their charisma and talent, but also notorious for their volatile relationship. Huston often described Nicholson as magnetic, unpredictable, and endlessly charming, but also difficult to pin down. Their love affair weathered many ups and downs, but ultimately ended in heartbreak for Houston, when Nicholson's infidelities became too much to endure. Still, even after their breakup, the two maintained mutual respect and a lasting affection for one another. And Houston has often spoken candidly about how deeply Nicholson influenced her life. In the 1980s, Nicholson also had a relationship with Danish model Winnie Hallman. Their time together may not have been as publicly scrutinized as his romance with Houston, but it was significant in Nicholson's personal life because it resulted in the birth of a daughter, Honey Hallman. Honey grew up mostly outside of Hollywood, living in Denmark with her mother, away from the glitz and chaos of Nicholson's world. While Nicholson did not have a traditional family structure, he acknowledged his responsibility as a father and maintained a connection with Honey throughout her life. By 1989, Nicholson entered into another high-profile romance, this time with actress Rebecca Brauzard. Their relationship marked a new chapter for him, as it was one of his longest and most committed partnerships. Nicholson and Brauzard were together for 5 years, during which time they welcomed children, a daughter, Lorraine, born in 1990, and a son, Raymond, born in 1992. Unlike some of his other relationships, Nicholson was very present as a father during this time. Often photographed spending time with his young children, Lorraine eventually pursued a career in acting, appearing in films like Soul Surfer 2011, while Raymond grew up to become an actor as well, continuing the family's creative legacy. Even after their romantic relationship ended in 1994, Nicholson and Brauzard remained committed to co-parenting their children, which was a testament to the maturity and affection that had existed between them. Later in the 1990s, Nicholson's name was romantically linked to actress Lara Flynn Boyle, who was then gaining fame from her role on Twin Peaks and other projects. Their relationship, though brief, garnered attention because of their noticeable age difference and Nicholson's reputation as a Hollywood playboy. Reports suggested that their romance was intense but short-lived, ending after only a few years. Still, it further cemented Nicholson's image as a man who, even well into middle age, continued to be linked to glamorous women and remained a captivating figure in Hollywood's social scene. At 88 years old, Jack Nicholson has reached a point in his life where he looks back on his career and friendships with a clarity that only age and reflection can bring. For decades, Nicholson was known as one of Hollywood's most enigmatic figures. Always witty, sharp, and unpredictable, both on and off the screen. Yet, in a recent intimate conversation, he opened up about his late friend Robin Williams in a way he had rarely done before. His words carried the weight of both admiration and sorrow, and for those who admired Williams, they offered a window into the deep respect one legend had for another. Robin was like lightning in a bottle, Nicholson admitted. Pausing before he spoke, as though carefully choosing his words, you never knew what direction he'd go in, but you always knew it would be brilliant. For Nicholson, who had built a career on intensity and razor-sharp performances, Williams represented a kind of artistic freedom that very few could master. Their paths crossed numerous times throughout their years in Hollywood, both socially and professionally. And Nicholson recalled how Williams's presence could change the entire energy of a room. He could make a room full of people go from silence to tears of laughter in seconds, Nicholson said. And I don't think the world will ever see that kind of raw magic again. Nicholson went further, admitting that Williams' humor was only one layer of who he was. People saw Robin as this whirlwind of comedy, but he was one of the most thoughtful men I ever knew. He felt things deeply, maybe too deeply at times. That was both his gift and his burden. In saying this, Nicholson was pointing to the duality that defined Williams. His unparalleled ability to give joy to others while privately struggling with his own battles. Nicholson confessed that he often saw in Williams a sensitivity that others overlooked. There was a tenderness in him, Nicholson explained. You could see it in his eyes, even when he was making you laugh until your stomach hurt. The two actors were different in many ways. Nicholson with his iconic grin and often menacing screen presence, and Williams with his boundless energy and improvisational genius. Yet they shared a bond built on mutual respect. Nicholson revealed that whenever they spent time together, there was always laughter, but there was also sincerity. He'd sit down with you, look you straight in the eye, and listen. Robin really listened, and that's a rare quality in this business, Nicholson said softly. He didn't care about the Hollywood Games. He cared about people. Nicholson also addressed the pain of losing Williams in 2014, a loss that shook Hollywood and fans around the globe. When Robin left us, it was like a light went out in the world, Nicholson reflected, his voice heavy with emotion. I remember hearing the news and just sitting there, not quite believing it. It felt impossible that someone who gave so much life could be gone. He admitted that Williams' passing reminded him of the fragility of even the brightest spirits. We think these people are larger than life, but they're human, just like the rest of us. And sometimes being human is the hardest thing. Nicholson concluded his reflections with words that revealed how much Williams had meant to him personally. Robin had this generosity of spirit. He gave everything he had every time, whether it was on stage, in a movie, or just talking to a friend. That's what I'll always carry with me. He wasn't just funny. He was extraordinary. For Nicholson, speaking so openly about his friend was a way of honoring a man whose talent and humanity left an indelible mark not only on audiences, but also on his peers. As Jack Nicholson sits in the twilight of his own remarkable life and career, his memories of Robin Williams remain vivid, a reminder of the rare connection to Hollywood giants shared. And in finally telling the truth about his friend, Nicholson allowed the world to see not only the depth of Williams' artistry, but also the profound impact he had on those who truly knew him.